Right, hello everybody. Welcome to another Monday evening briefing. Obviously we were hoping to have two games to review for you, but sadly the weather took its toll again and we lost the game on Saturday at Potter's Bar. Nevertheless, we've got the Ashford game to talk about and any player news and what the team are going to be up to this week with a view to the Hornchurch game on the Saturday coming, weather permitting. So first of all, I suppose we better cover the Ashford game last Tuesday.
Yeah.
Coming off a heavy pilot field pitch onto a very zippy 3G pitch,
Yeah.
and a team that again withdrew into that defensive formation that is becoming a little bit of a familiarity, isn't it?
Yeah. It was just one of them games really where we'd done everything but put the ball in the net. I think in terms of like the data that we collect from the games, that was a record high. I think we touched the ball over 60 times in their box. So I think they touched the ball in our box just over or just under 10. So just done everything but score. But in terms of the way that we played and the general performance, we were pretty pleased. I think you can potentially get frustrated that obviously 0-0 and then go out on penalties, which is as I said, very frustrating. But when you sort of step back from it and take the emotion out of the game, you go, well, if we take one of those 5, 6, 7, 8 really good opportunities, which to be fair, David and co have been pretty good at finishing in the past sort of few months. It's a pretty positive performance. So obviously disappointing to lose on penalties, but there was enough there that we liked in terms of the general performance, and the biggest thing is that we were creating chances. So even across the last few games, that's really been the big thing that we've sort of taken from it is, if we take our chances, we could be looking at another 3 or 4 wins. It just sort of highlights the importance of being ruthless in both boxes.
Yeah, because we actually created quality balls into the box, more than we have for a little while actually. John and Freddie both got round the back innumerable times, and the crosses, probably as many crosses as I've seen for a while actually.
Yeah, I think against Horsham and Lewis we got into some really good attacking positions. Against Horsham I thought the final ball was alright and the finish wasn't great. It was against Lewis I thought the final ball was lacking. Still created chances, but as I said, I think the final ball could have been better. Whereas I agree against Ashford, the delivery was very good. I thought Freddie in particular, Freddie Legg's delivery was very good. So as I said, all the time you're creating chances, you can sort of, obviously there's frustration because you don't ever want to draw a blank, but we'd be a lot more worried if we'd look back on the past couple of weeks and it looked like we were making no sort of progress in terms of like breaking the opposition down. But we're pretty positive around that. We're consistently doing that. We just need to do what we've done, as I said, up until the last couple of weeks really, and just put the ball in the net and be a bit more ruthless.
Yeah, which was a shame because obviously going out of a cup it's always disappointing, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
There were some good points though, weren't there? Sam Crutwell came in.
Yeah,
I thought he looked composed. Ashford didn't press him a lot, so it gave him time on the ball, I guess. But he distributed the ball well, and he looked like a calming influence there.
Yeah, Crutz is a very good footballer. He's a very good footballer. So there was never really any doubt around how much of a positive impact he would make. His experience as well. Like he's 26, who's in the grand scheme of things, he's still young and he's still got a long way to go in his own sort of development. But compared to the majority of the group, he's very experienced and has played a lot of senior football. So he's gone away. He's done some really good work with Little Common and guys down there, Russell and co, continues to do a great job. So he's been in really safe hands the last few years. He's definitely matured, and we're really, really pleased to welcome him back.
Yeah, and his influence there seemed to give Sam Gale even more freedom Sam really advanced a lot with the ball, didn't he? And that, you were talking a few weeks ago about stepping out with the ball and drawing their midfielders towards you.
Yeah.
Sam seemed to take that role on quite noticeably.
Well, I think that's an example of sort of some of the good progress that's been made against that type of approach used by the opposition. Like Carl Shorten a couple of weeks ago, we didn't do enough to disrupt their shape. Horsham, we didn't do enough until JJ Walker come on, and obviously we've reflected on that and we've done some more work on the training pitch. And yes, that was a really positive sign in terms of how Gailey was, as you said, stepping forwards, breaking the line, giving us a different type of attacking threat. I thought between him, Leggy and Ansu down that right side, we caused a lot of problems. And as I said, like, made really good progress, broke lines, got in some really good attacking positions and done everything but put the ball in the net. So.
Yeah, in the midfield, Jags and Ansu both picked up a booking each. I think it was difficult. I think nearly all of the bookings were when they broke.
Yeah.
How did that? I mean, Joe got booked fairly early on, didn't he, Jags? He looks as if he might have been struggling a bit with the pace of that ball pinging around in there.
Yeah, he hasn't played a great deal of football because he's obviously been waiting for his international clearance. So, and that, to be honest, was the reason we took him off, was because we thought at times it looked a bit laboured. And, you know, with the way that he plays, he's quite a combative, aggressive player. So we felt that, you know, he's already on a booking, so we didn't want to have a Lewis repeat. We were having to play ridiculous amount of time with 10 men, so we thought, don't risk it. And as I said, it was another opportunity to get JJ Walker on the pitch in a different position and give him more valuable senior football. So, yeah, no, it's... And then with Ansu, we just felt, again, he come off not so much because of the booking, but more just tired. As I said, he hasn't played a huge amount of football whilst he's been at Tunbridge, so we felt we could freshen up with Chapo and again give him even more valuable game time.
And so JJ came on again, looked pretty good to me, looked pretty composed again. You can see, again, we said last time, he just looks like a footballer. Again, he came on, again, those pitches to the fan, those pitches look just so quick. And it didn't look quick when he was around it. He looked in control of it.
No, it's a completely different surface to what we train traditionally play on at the pilot field. So yeah, it's a different type of game really. But the way we sort of look at it is, if you can play on the pilot field, which can be a bit lively, playing on that, should be able to do it with your eyes closed. So, you know, we don't really see it too much as a sort of a negative situation. We sort of view it as, well, as I said, it should be easier to play on. And I think, as I said, I thought in general the performance was pretty good. And again, if we take one of those chances, it forces them to maybe employ a different approach, and then the game opens up even more, and I think it's probably a bit more straightforward. So no, as I said, we were obviously disappointed, but largely pleased with what we saw, and pleased with like JJ and co sort of individual performances. Yeah,
and once you go down to penalties, I mean, at Eastbourne it went our way. This time all bets are off, really, aren't they? And it didn't go our way this time.
I just felt it was probably a bit of different pressure as well, because at Eastbourne the pressure's all on them. Whereas obviously for us it was, you know, we were the high level team, we were the favourites, if you like. So it's probably a bit of roles reversed for us. So again, it's just invaluable experience really, because if we continue to have the success we've had and we continue to build in terms of like the level that we're playing at, and as a result of that, more wins should come as a consequence, and more fans through the gate, those sort of expectations will only increase really. So it's an invaluable experience for the group, definitely.
Yeah, and there was the change from the pilot field Saturday to that new pitch at Ashford. Interesting to see today that Bognor have announced they're going to 3G. I guess that's going to be in the closed season or something like that. Traditional ground, that one, everyone, you know, will be interested in that decision. I guess it's commercial again, but also guarantees games are on, changes the way you play. You like those pitches?
I think it's just an opportunity to prepare regularly on on the surface you're going to be using at the weekend. So, like from our perspective, we're fortunate we get plenty of access to the pilot field, but ultimately there's some weeks where because of weather conditions you just can't get on the pitch. So then you're training on a quarter of a AstroTurf up the road,
yes,
Hastings Academy, which doesn't prepare you as best as possible for the potential home game of the weekend. So the big thing for me is that having a 3G surface, it allows you to prepare accordingly, really. And I think also there's all sorts of commercial benefits to it, and usage and like financial gains from having a 3G. I think there's no coincidence. I think if you look at the majority of teams at the top of the league, 3G, I think Hornchurch aside, I think obviously Billericay, Chatham, Horsham. It is a direct correlation between teams up and around the top of the division and the surface they use. So I think it makes sense for Bognor to do that, and there'd probably be all sorts of, as I said, financial gain from it, which will make them even more competitive than what they already are, which should be fun.
Yeah, it's a trend, isn't it? Definitely a trend. Yeah. You can see it gradually they're falling one by one. So yeah, definitely an interesting trend. Player wise, obviously Sam McCoy got on another 20 minutes under his belt on Tuesday. So some of them, people like Tommy and Sam, I guess, and potentially Tom Chalmers, missed out on game time on Saturday. How are we doing with the injuries and niggles and people coming back and that?
Sam's making good progress, which is a massive bonus, especially ahead of Hornchurch, where they're obviously a considerable threat, and Sam's defensive attributes are we played Dulwich and we've played Carl Shorten, when we've played against a certain type of team with a certain type of player, we've more often than not used Sam, because defensively 1v1 is excellent. I haven't seen many people get the better of him, to be honest. So that's great timing. And then Tom Chalmers doesn't look great, if I'm being honest. I'd be surprised if he's back within a month.
Right.
Which is a pain.
That's a blow, isn't it?
It is a blow, yeah. He's such an important player. Tommy Fagg is getting there steadily. Not quickly enough for my liking, but he's getting there steadily. And then Dan Hull looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the season, because there could be potential issues around heart issues. So he's going through tests at the minute to sort of try and get to the bottom of it. Like, there's a couple of times he's done quite strenuous physical activity, training, games, and he's felt a bit, almost at borderline collapse. So we've had to sort of take precautions around that. Dan, to be fair, has driven it. Dan's been really mature around it, so he's sort of said, I need to have some tests, and so it looks like he's going to be unavailable to the end of the season at least, so until we get a bit of clarity around the potential sort of situation he's facing. So that's a big blow as well, because Dan's done really well. I thought he'd done all right against Carl Shorten. Very much someone that we're like we've always said, we're sort of building towards a bigger picture, really. So for someone like this period of year, the season is almost like an extended pre-season for Dan in preparation for next year, really. So for him to be sidetracked is it's disappointing, and it is a blow for our sort of plans longer term, but we'll deal with it. And most importantly, he's sort of done the right thing in terms of taking a step back just whilst we get a bit more clarity around that situation. So
his health is going to be paramount.
It's a priority, definitely. So so we're a little bit banged up, but it's an opportunity for others to step forwards and stake a claim or not. So it'll be all good. We'll work through it.
Yeah, and I guess Jack was probably cup tied, was he, on Tuesday?
Yeah.
And he'll be cup tied for the Sussex Cup game.
Yeah.
Would his ban have started on Saturday had we played that game?
Yeah, so he's still got 2 games. So that was one of the biggest negatives for the Potters Bar game being called off, obviously, because we got a few injuries. We thought it's not the worst timing in the world. But then equally, we sort of think, well, that's now going to be another week
drags it out.
Yeah, it does
it?
a little bit. Yeah, it does a little bit. So, and it's a shame really because Dicko was getting up to speed. Really, I mean, we've probably not really replaced Jack Bates, if I'm being honest. So, it's taken a little bit longer for us to sort of acclimatise without him, if I'm being brutally honest. So, and just as Dicko was getting up to speed and familiar with the role, he then obviously gets banned. So, and now it sort of, halts that progress a little bit or slows that progress. So that's frustrating. But again, it's just an opportunity for somebody else to step in and stake a claim and hopefully make it difficult for Dicko to come back into the side because they've done so well. So yeah, but again, it's we'll deal with it and we'll manage it as best we can.
Yep, and all the lads came down and trained on Saturday, didn't they? So that was good. And I think nearly everyone's in this evening as well.
Yeah.
So, and again, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? What's the plan for the week with a view to the weekend? So
we will, where we're now, for the first time really, we're now Saturday, we'll go to a Monday, Wednesday programme, and then there'll be optional training for a chunk of the group on a Thursday. So we just feel it gives us an opportunity to give us an extra day recovery. We've trained hard, we've worked incredibly hard, we've thrown a shed load of information at the group. So there's been loads of learning, loads of progress, loads of physical demands over the sort of past 4 months since I've been back. So the lads have had a lot thrown at them. So we're sort of using this as an opportunity we're still training 2-3 times a week, still the same workload, but we're just giving ourselves a bit more breathing space ahead of the next match day, which should hopefully help with recovery and make sure that we're even brighter come match day. So that's the plan this week.
Yeah, and I know you've had Hornchurch watched recently.
Yeah.
So how do you think about the formation setup? Probably different to some of these games that we played recently. Yeah,
I think they're obviously there at the top of the table for a reason. And like when we said probably about a month ago now, and that we said that this period of time would sort of give us an indication of where we're at. So yeah, I think this is just an extension of that really. Like they're going to win the league, albeit bar a sort of ridiculous collapse, but they're going to win the league, and they should, because as I said, they're obviously out there for a reason, and they're clearly the best team. So it's just a good opportunity for us to see where we're at, to be honest. I'd be surprised if they adopted the same approach as some of the teams we played recently.
Yes.
That's why I looked at like these games with Billericay, Chatham, Wingate, Lewis. I knew Horsham would adapt. Knowing Dom like I do, knowing John like I do, they're very, very astute and crafty, and they're not too proud to not have the ball. So that didn't surprise me. Whereas Lewis, obviously the red card, I won't get started on that.
Yes,
it's an anomaly. Whereas, as I said, I look at Chatham, Billericay, Hornchurch, and I can't see them taking a backward step against us. And to be honest, that suits us.
Suits us.
Yeah, it suits us. Like Chatham down at their place. So, we go into the game like looking forward to it. Like, as I said, they're the best team in the division. So let's see where we're at in relation to that, and also going into it knowing that Chatham beat them 2-0. We beat Chatham.
Yeah. So
we sort of look at it and we go, if we produce our best level, we'll be a match for anyone in the league. Our challenge will be consistency, and we've seen that over the past couple of months. Like we've got a away win at Chatham in the locker. We've got a 4-0 at home to Margate. We've got a pretty dominant away win against Kingstonian, which on paper you think, well, we should do, but then you see Bognar's result against Kingstonian, you realise actually. So we've got really good performances, and as a consequence, really good results in our locker. But do we have that consistency to do it week in, week out? that's the challenge for the group, really. So, and that's really the challenge between now and the end of the season, and Hornchurch being just the next game, really.
Yeah, because few teams caught up a game on Saturday. We're still 7th, still there or thereabouts. It's quite closely bunched all around it, isn't it? So, again, like you said, just keep on going to the end of the season. That's all you can do, isn't it? Yeah,
I just think it's we just got to see where we're at. I mean, if I'm being honest, we're so far ahead of schedule. We knew that we had a good group, and we backed ourselves to turn it around and make us competitive pretty quickly, but we probably didn't expect to make the moves that we did in terms of the league table as quickly as what we've done and get ourselves into the position we did. So the challenge really is if we can replicate what we've done in the past couple of months, we'll get in the playoffs.
Yes.
Like that's it. Like, we just need to try and reproduce that. But also what we can't do is get too frustrated if a young group doesn't show consistency or does drop off the edge of a cliff, because that's what can happen with young players, and as I said, a group that's only been together 5 minutes really. So I just look forward to it. I'm just interested, like, to see how we get on. It's such a, as I said, it's such early stages, and you're sort of learning about players. So it'd be really interesting to see how, like with John Ufer, for example, has ripped it up. He's been absolutely flying. Whereas now teams,
they're cottoning on to it.
They're well aware that if you give John time and space, you got a big problem. So it's great for John and his development in terms of, like, now you've got people doubling up. Like, how are you going to deal with that?
And I guess you must have to think about how that creates space for somebody else.
Yeah. That's the challenge, really. Like, as I said, if they're doubling up there, they're not doubling up somewhere else. As basic as that sounds. But again, it's very much about us. I really believe that. I think if we do what we can to the best of our ability, I think we've shown that we can beat anyone in the division. It's just consistency, which is often the most difficult thing with, as I said, a young group and right at the start of something. So that's the challenge, really. We've just got to keep banging the drum, keep being consistent with messages, not too high when we win, not too low when we lose, and that's as big a message for me as anyone, because I hate losing. I hate it. I'll be honest, I'm not used to it. I hate it.
I've seen it.
Honestly, I really struggle with it. I hate losing more than I enjoy winning. And, it brings me back to when I first took over all those years ago, in that first season where we could win a game 5-0 and lose a game 4-3. And it used to frustrate the life out of me. But then obviously over time, keep banging the drum, keep doing the right things, bring in the right players and get a bit more of a settled group, and a bit further down the line you then find that consistency, and then obviously as a consequence of that, I think we lost 4 league games in 3.5 years. So it's almost taking a backward step with a new group going, right, this is where we're at. And for me personally and the staff, it's like, we're not used to this is frustrating. But again, it's really important just to remind ourselves of where we're at, and
we're a level up,
and where we're going. Yeah, we are. But I also think the groups, I'll be honest, I think the group's a better group. So I think we've got a really good group of players. And I do think, as I said, on our day we've shown that we can roll anyone over, even in the league above. I went and watched the game on Saturday, and I'd fancy us on our day against either of those teams. But again, like, you see it with Ipswich and Maidstone. Everyone's got that performance in them. Yeah, it's just consistency. Like, I think that's the difference between a League 2 player and a Premier League player. Like, the League 2 player has a Premier League level performance in him, but does he have 38 or 50 over the course of a season? Yeah. Potentially not. So I think that's why you get cup upsets. I think that's why that happens. So from our perspective, it's just individually and as a group, like, can we find our best level on a more consistent basis? And if we do that, then we'll have a very, very positive end to the season. If we don't do that, then it's all important learning for next season and beyond, really.
So top of the table team on Saturday. It's going to be another good crowd.
I hope so.
You talk about banging the drum will be there.
Yeah.
And again, coming back to the fan thing, I know that you've been enjoying Lee Parnell's vlogs.
Yeah, brilliant.
So yeah, Lee, I think Lee, you know, he's been watching them, don't you?
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched them, anyone out there, look at Lee Parnell's match day vlogs on YouTube. They're really good fun way of getting the feeling of what goes on a match day for a fan. So do look out for those. You like them, don't you?
But that's a big thing. You do get a real feel for what it looks like for the supporters. I mean, because we're obviously in the stadium and in the confines of the ground, and I'm twiddling my thumbs now before kick-off. So I'd like to actually see what is going on, and like in the local pub and all the build-up. It's brilliant. It's good fun, and it also like you realise what great camaraderie there is amongst the supporters, and you know, it also reinforces how important it is what we're doing, and how much an influence our level and our performance has on those guys. So it's it's sort of it was a great watch, very funny.
Yeah, they are funny.
I do have a laugh. Yeah, like some of the feedback they give the opposition's very, very interesting. But yeah, it's also a good reminder for our guys, as I said, because I know a couple of the players watch it. So to sort of understand even more what they're fighting for and what they're representing. So yeah, no, very good.
Yeah, and it's good, isn't it? I mean, obviously Chris was a bit of a pioneer with his Sussex by the Sea podcast, and now we've got Neo doing the shorter videos and the little bit of footage behind the goal, which the players enjoy
they do,
getting involved with, don't they? And we're doing this, and Lee's doing that, and it's all a lovely sort of thing to bolt on around all the football.
It's
just
a proper football club, isn't it? Like, you know, when I look at, as I said, I went to a game on Saturday, and I walked 20 metres into the stadium, and I still didn't realise there was a game of football on, because the atmosphere was absolutely dead. When I compare that to when I watch our games back and you hear the atmosphere that we're generating at the Pilot Field, which, because of the type of ground and where the support is a little bit further away from the pitch, really that should be quite like almost like a Hornchurch or 𝑻𝑯𝑬, where you're quite far away and you can lose a little bit of atmosphere. But in here, like, because of our supporters, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. So it's it just makes me appreciate how lucky we are. Yeah.
Okay. In which case, I'll leave you to get on with training this evening. Go and get hold of them.
Yeah.
And work them hard.
Yeah, always.
Yeah. And have a good week. And we'll look forward to Saturday. See you there.
Thank you very much.
Hornchurch.
Thank you very much.
Good one. Cheers, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you.